This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Silver Screen Insider.
And here we go with Off the Break Podcast.
Here we go.
Here we go, everyone.
Here we go.
Here we go, Kyle. Here we go, Erik. And I'm here we go, Codi.
Here we go.
It is the end of a short week here at Off the Break Podcast. We had a Monday holiday, and it just really condenses the rest of the week down.
It's been like a dead news week.
Dead news for you guys. Busy booking for me.
Yeah, after that long weekend, the bookers definitely had to work a bit harder to get stuff ready for the next weekend. I felt bad for you and the rest of the guys.
Tuesdays after Monday holidays always
there's no time
suck.
off. You always make it up.
Oh my gosh, it's like a double day. I call them monstrosities because they're just these monster days of like Monday horribleness mixed with like extra Tuesday duties.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it, but that's okay. I like having a day off, but I came in Monday anyways on my day off to work as much as I could.
Jeez.
And I'm so glad I did because it made Tuesday easier.
Wasn't hell.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Oh, but a nice 3-day weekend. Aladdin opened really strong, a little above expectations.
Quite a bit stronger than I was expecting.
Wow.
Yeah, over 100 mil. Pretty good number.
I saw the early show and we talked Friday on our last Friday podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's there, and it's not going to be the bomb that people think it was going to be.
Yeah,
and I was right. It was there.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, and it's with good reason too. It was a pretty good adaptation.
It was.
I like that one.
I
was very
did
surprised.
Too. Yeah, I dare
Pleasantly
say might
surprised.
have enjoyed some aspects of it more than Beauty and the Beast. I liked how they kind of kept close to the original story, and the additions made sense on the back end.
Yeah, the additions were refreshing, and it helped I think open up these characters a bit more instead of just making them a stale interpretation of what was done already, which I really liked.
I liked how they made at the very end Genie human.
Yeah,
it really grounded it. It made it
human.
He turns human,
like for good.
For good.
Oh yeah, spoiler.
Does he
Spoiler
not
alert.
like? I don't know.
I forgot that.
Does he not like
it.
being a genie? Was he
No.
a human before? Was he turned into a genie?
You never got the full backstory, but he had been a genie for like 10,000 years.
10,000
Prepare
years.
yourselves for
Been
a
in-
genie spin-off movie.
And he had been
That's
in the
what they're
lamp
praying.
for 1,000 years before Aladdin found him, like
Yeah.
got to him. So
Yeah, Will Smith's genie was good too. It was a good interpretation. I mean, it's classic Will Smith, but it works to keep it all refreshed and make it a bit new, but still keep the same energy going as like the first one or the original did. So
when he
looked fine in blue. Like, he still looked like Will Smith as blue.
So it's actually way more moving at the end when Aladdin frees him because he becomes human, and then and then you see him in his human life, and he has children, and it's very beautiful. It's like it makes Aladdin's third wish
back in
sacrifice.
time?
Yeah, well, you start out.
Or is it like a flashback?
It's a flashback. You start out on the ship, and he's telling his children the story, but you don't know if
the movie is told by the genie.
By a genie.
By a genie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like what Robin Williams did in the first one, where it's Robin Williams' voice as like the merchant guy, and he's like, wait, let me tell you the story of Aladdin. But this one kind of like has a more heartwarming family sense
Aladdin
to it.
More realistic.
Forever.
It still holds up.
Yeah.
It still holds up. I
It
saw
really
it before
does.
this one, and it's still so good.
It wasn't even one of my favorite Disney movies, but I found myself loving all the songs and remembering the words. I was like,
That's how they get
what
you.
in my
I think
like
I played
30
the Super Nintendo
brain?
version, the Super Nintendo Aladdin game more than I saw.
Was
the
it
movie.
based off the TV show?
No, it was the movie.
Oh, it was based off the movie.
I do know
okay.
the TV show though.
I did
Yeah.
hear
There
there
are
a
was
lot
a
of those,
TV
like-
show.
There was a
There's an Aladdin TV show, Hercules TV show.
Did you ever see the episode where they crossed over?
Oh God, no!
It's amazing. It's so bad, but it's amazing.
They always get totally different voice actors, and the
Weird.
animation
Yeah.
drops by like
Yeah.
300%.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah, they did that with like they still do that with Netflix shows on Trolls. It's the same way.
Oh, I bet.
Sure.
Yeah, if you compare
And
it to the
Boss
movies.
Baby,
Mhm.
and Boss Baby was tough because I was like, I liked the voices. I didn't like this.
Doesn't Alec Baldwin still come back for Boss Baby show?
No,
or
it's
is
definitely
it,
somebody
is
else.
it somebody
but
else?
it's not a
Okay.
hard voice to be like, I'm the boss, baby.
I'm Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
That's not Alec Baldwin.
Shine your shoes and here's $100. Go get
Yeah.
me some sushi.
The movie's still so weird. It's weird that I still think about it though.
I love Boss Baby.
Yeah,
They're making a sequel.
It was out. Are they
Of course
really?
they are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It did make money.
It did.
weirdly
It
enough.
was good.
I mean, if I saw it in a tiny little 400 people town single screen theater.
You did?
Yeah, that's where I saw Boss Baby. Maybe not 400 people, but
Maybe
very
less.
small. Very, yeah.
They didn't have much. Only
But
Boss Baby.
You guys saw 2 new movies this weekend.
Yep.
Or
Brand
yesterday,
new
early
movies
shows.
to talk about.
Yes.
I was trying to see Ma, but I got upset tummy.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's always the worst.
Probably because you were anticipating seeing Ma.
It looks
I can't
so
bring
good.
myself
It
to do
looks fine.
this.
I'm so excited for the only thing I want to see is Octavia Spencer just have fun.
I've heard she does. She kills it
Yeah.
from the
Kills
things I've
them
heard
and
about.
it.
Yeah.
Well, probably them too. At least
Yeah,
that's what we
Cody, you
hope.
saw Rocketman
I
and
did.
Kyle saw Godzilla, so
I've been super anticipating
Discuss.
Rocketman. Yeah. So
Who's
we're
going
going to
first?
discuss our early show reactions, and we'll go into trailers. Just FYI.
Yeah.
So Rocketman. I'm going to go first. I was really, really anticipating seeing this movie. I thought it was going to be one of the best movies in the summer. I just had a lot of expectations for this film because it's Elton John. I
Oh,
love
boy.
Elton John.
you can't keep
music.
repeating that. You can't have so many expectations.
I had some.
You gotta calm it. Just
I should have calmed it, but I got overly enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
And it was good but disappointing for me. I felt it concentrated more on the tragedy of Elton John's early life and not as much on the positive aspects of it, because he did attain a lot of fame, but the fame was marred by all this
Yeah, they're inseparable.
drugs and and sex and all this other stuff that just was just so destructive, this destructive streak. And the movie starts where he enters rehab and he is going through his life and telling a story to an AA group,
Mm-hmm.
and then it ends with him leaving rehab and
Oh, so it's kind of like a frame narrative.
it
kind
is.
of thing. Okay.
It's very musical theater.
Mhm.
The songs interplay in it, but they're not background to it. They are very much a part of the sequences. And I felt that this was very much Elton John's movie, not so much somebody else's vision.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt
he was pretty involved in it.
I always felt, because
pretty
I've
sure.
seen Elton
Yeah.
John in concert, and I don't
Mhm.
know if many people listeners have, but I noticed that he didn't talk a lot between sets. He didn't give anything of him. It was just all about the music.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this movie was kind of an extension of that. Whereas he's trying to be vulnerable and discuss his darkness, he can't do it without masking it in this musical theater.
Yeah.
And
Well, not surprising.
and it doesn't ever really go positive until the end, when you find out 28 years later he's married with a family that he's probably always wanted. But I kind of wanted to see that a little bit at the end of the movie, have that little happy ending palate cleanser.
So it's safe to say you're disappointed more, not because the movie itself was bad, but because you don't like sad, depressing things.
Yeah, I thought the narrative was very dark.
Okay.
And
It was probably just really honest.
I don't think it was. I think it was this masked honesty. I feel like you didn't leave learning anything more about Elton John's life that you couldn't have already guessed looking at him, knowing that he was a gay man. Throughout time when it wasn't accepted, and he struggled with it, and that probably led to a lot of his creativity. I just feel like I could have kind of known a little bit about that, guessed those struggles. I wanted more to it. How does he come up with more of the creativity of the music? I wish it went into his relationship with his writing partner a little bit more, just because that seems so good
Oh, yeah.
and
That's
so
fair.
positive and so amazing. That dynamic is so
Mhm.
amazing. So I don't know. Those are just, and you know me, I hated the mother character, and I thought she was terrible. I hate the father
Probably the point.
character too, but I hated those people in his life, and it broke my heart. It really hurt me as a mother to see another mother treat somebody like that. I know that it's don't boo-hoo for Elton John because he's a multimillionaire at 25. I get that, but just the idea of little boys needing love and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and affection and acceptance, and not getting that just,
No amount of millions and millions of dollars is going to replace
and that's kind of a big
parental
theme.
support. And
That's a
love.
huge theme of the movie, that he attained all the success, but he was still a broken boy on the
Tale
inside.
as old as time.
Do you think that? I mean, I know that you just said you didn't really like seeing all that sadness that went through him and the people that were around him, but did they at least do a good job at addressing the relationships and how over
phenomenal.
time he might have been able to like fix them or mend them, or they were still destructive still. Like were they at least able to present that very well?
They were pretty destructive for a long time in his life, but at the very end of the rehab sequence, it's like there's a quick montage of him just being like, I forgive you. I'm moving on from this and I forgive you. So it comes, but it's very hastily done at the end of the...
Yeah. I mean,
does that at least like showcase it, like those battles between his inner demons as well as with other people really well throughout the movie, though, do you think? Or despite being rushed at the end, maybe, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you really like feel for him. Yeah. And I don't feel like it's a huge stretch. I feel like some of the cruelest things said to him were probably said to him in real life.
Yeah.
Like they were, you couldn't make that up. Like I'm sure that those were things actually done to him. And that makes it even more sad for me. I went home and hugged my kids. I was like, no matter what happens to you, I hope Mama will always love you.
How was Taron Egerton as Elton John? Because Elton handpicked him.
Fabulous.
Like he met Taron and really
I will say right
him.
now, Taron Egerton as Elton John far surpasses Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury.
Ooh.
Hands down.
There's the inevitable Bohemian Rhapsody comparison.
But
I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Well,
but the performance is...
I mean, you can't help it. Yeah.
So stellar. It's...
Well, here's a question I have about it. Because the biggest thing I'm wondering, because, again, you can't help but compare it to Bohemian Rhapsody just because of how close together they were. But a lot of the main criticisms for Bohemian Rhapsody is that it's just kind of like a very almost like a Wikipedia page kind of thing, a very by the numbers account.
Yeah.
But then this, based on the trailers that I saw, it seemed a lot more whimsical, or like they were like more artistic, kind of
very much more artistic indulgences, very
things
much
that don't
more
make sense in reality, but it's kind
theatrical music, trying to like showcase and hide emotion in those scenes.
Do you feel like the extra liberties and experimentation they did with that allowed Taron more opportunities to kind of express a wider range of things? Like, is that part of why you think he was better than,
or just made the movie
Rami Malek
more entertaining? At least
the movie was definitely different, but I think what you see is Taron Egerton actually sang in this.
That's
a huge part. But it's also, he had to go darker than Rami Malek got to go with Freddie Mercury, so that does give him an edge. But I think all things aside, you still have to have like a certain quality about your acting. Like I really saw him melt away, and I saw a lot of pain and stuff coming through, and there were a few scenes that were just so moving that you teared up, and it was definitely based on the performance. There wasn't singing and music and all this stuff around. It was purely just that performance. So
just raw acting.
Yeah I would almost like in the one scene where, I'm not giving anything away, he goes and sees his father after he's attained all of his success, and his father was just this cold, horrible, basically didn't really want to be his father at all, didn't want nothing to do with him. And he goes and he sees him, and his father has this whole new family and is completely different. He is the father that, Elton John always wanted to have, and he has seen it happen right in front of him. And the dad still isn't changed. He still wants like really no connection with him there. He has his own family and he's moved on.
It's so hard.
And he goes back into the car, and it's just tears coming down his eyes because he just is rejected again. Like, how much success
Hey, Dad,
do you
look
have
what
to
I
have?
Did. Look what I was able to do.
He brings him like this watch. It looks like it's probably worth more than the whole house that they're in. And the dad is like nothing to him. Like,
I wonder why. Was he... I know almost nothing about Elton John, actually. So, like, did he grow up full time with his parents, or was he like...
His dad left when he was really young.
Was he like with grandparents?
I think he grew up with his mother and his nana, is what...
Oh, okay. Because I remember in the trailer, there's like that part where he sits down at the piano.
That's mom and nana.
And and the people watching him seemed like they look like nice people.
Mom was not nice. Mom is cruel.
It's fake. That's
just
how
as
they
cruel
get you.
and hearted and very selfish person.
Jeez.
The mother is very selfish. So that, I think that the it's different, but the acting is still there and more dynamic. And I just liked Taron Egerton's performance way more.
Oh, I'm super excited for it.
But
how R-rated is R-rated?
It is a lot of drug use, which it's like snorting powder. It's not intravenous or anything.
When I was little,
Gotcha.
My dad was telling me about Elton John, and there was like, I don't know if this is probably paraphrasing, but he said he like, at one point he like put a whole island up his nose. Like the price equivalent of an island in cocaine.
Oh, and it's all throughout the movie. Yeah. He was super huge coke addict.
Yeah.
And then
he was also bulimic and like a shopping addict, wasn't he?
And they have a scene where he's just so upset that he just keeps trying to fill himself with things like drugs and sex and then food, and none of that fulfills him because it's not getting to the core of what's wrong. Like he is broken love. And he needs to be loved and he needs to heal that broken heart, and those things don't do that. So there is kind of like, I'm not going to say graphic because you don't see any genitalia, but there is a pretty heavy sex scene in it between him and his
heavy lead up.
No, like you see him like legs wrapped around each other on the bed, like
Brokeback Mountain style.
I didn't see Brokeback Mountain, so I couldn't tell you. But
it's like everything but the.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is like that. So there's that scene, and then there's the drug use, and then there's like kind of suicidal scene, but that's very wrapped in fantasy. Like it's not, so you just don't really kind of see you don't feel the impact of that as much. I think sometimes the fantasy veil, because he is being vulnerable in this with this movie, he masks that in this over the top theatrical musical fantasy. I think it takes away a little bit of the impact of some of the moments.
All right.
When they break out into song right afterwards. But where were we going with the R rating? I wish I had known a little bit more ahead of time about the sex in it, because I think that will turn off audiences. Whereas the critics criticize Bohemian Rhapsody for being vanilla and glossing over stuff. It enabled a lot more audiences to enjoy the music and to connect, whereas this one is very dark. It doesn't gloss over that stuff. So, but I think it
more
just
on the man, less on the music, kind of, or on these Elton's music.
More on the darkness of the man than where the lightness of the music came from, where the genius of the music came from. And I think that's going to really hurt it. Like this, it took it too far with the sex scenes that I don't know if general audiences are going to appreciate that. Like in conservative areas, I should say.
Yeah.
There are audiences that are fine with it. It's just, you got to always be mindful. Whereas,
that's just a huge part of your clients are,
in conservative areas. And I'm like so bummed because it is such a good movie. It's so well done. The music is phenomenal. The performances are great, but I can tell that one scene took it too far, and I can see it just not working in some places because of that. And that's sad, because I think he is universal. Like he was universally beloved, probably bigger than even Queen was. And
that's a hard debate right there.
I would say so.
In the movie, they make the point that at one point in his career, he was responsible for 5% of all record sales in the world.
Well, that is a pretty big deal. That's for sure.
I think he was bigger than Queen.
Yeah.
And
he's just one guy, know, like, I mean, obviously nobody wants to play. What's his partner's name? Not his
Bernie.
Like romantic. Bernie?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like his main lyricist, so I don't want to discredit him at all. But Queen, is a band. The name Queen is sort of more intangible than just one person. And so when people think of one person's like just phenomenal accomplishments, I don't know, it has a little bit more prestige to it, maybe.
Right, like would Freddie just being him attain the same success by himself if he didn't have his bandmates? Because I think his bandmates were so incredibly talented and equally as good songwriters and stuff, and the group of them together created these things.
Yeah, like I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying Elton John was more talented than Queen. They're completely different, but it's just when people think of one person versus a band, it's a little easier to connect to, or I don't know.
No, so it's good. It'll be I can't wait for you guys to see it so we can debate it more.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing it tonight.
Yeah, I'm hoping for this weekend.
If you get the same things out of it, you probably won't be as hurt by the mom character as I am. But we'll see what you think about how I think that he uses the music to mask being truly vulnerable. And
that's my biggest question.
Yeah, and at the end,
that sounds pretty powerful to me.
I
I'm excited to
feel like I really got more insight into what
kind of insight do you think you would
looking for?
Want? Yeah.
Maybe just like more insight into like his genius about, because he is very musically gifted.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe I just was hoping that the music helped him more, because I don't know if it did. Like, I don't know. You know how some artists say the music saved them? Mm-hmm. It was their outlet. I'm not sure that, I don't know if that was that true for him.
Just a tragic guy who happened to be really good.
Yeah. I wish that I would have seen more with his writing partner, Bernie, because it's more of like he wrote songs and passed the music to him, but you didn't really understand which songs or what lyrics or any of that. So I wish I would have had more insight into what made those lyrics important. They tried to weave it in the story, but I'm not sure if it was a direct correlation or not.
That's fair.
So I guess more into that. I find that stuff way more interesting. And I would have really have liked to see how he met his husband and how they struggled with moving on a relationship past and overcoming all those past demons and hurt to try to say, no, we're clean. This is our clean break, and we're not going to let that influence us.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting to me, but that probably wasn't interesting in the overall story. But I like relationship things like that. So I'm like, that's where my happy ending was going to come from. I didn't get. Although I do know he has a family now, and he still has a shopping issue.
I was just reading up on him. He has something called Elton's Closet, where he sells like his old secondhand clothes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish they would have also talked more about his AIDS foundation. They mentioned that he has this foundation. He mentions it at his concerts, but like.
Well, when did he establish that? Because when does the movie end?
It ends when he's in a rehab. So
like
you
what
don't.
Year?
I don't know the exact year. It doesn't give like an exact year. Just after he comes out of rehab. So whatever that was. So yeah, I wish I would have had like what made him start that foundation. What makes him continue to support that foundation? Is it just like a cold like, oh, I need a tax write-off, or is there something super passionate there? I don't know.
Just imagine in the movie, why are you starting this foundation? I need a tax write-off.
Right. That's probably why it wasn't in the movie.
And then there's a musical number in.
Yeah. So that was that week. I can't wait to discuss it more next week. How was Godzilla, Kyle?
Monsters fight each other.
King of the monsters.
Yeah, super huge and scary.
Yeah.
How long does it take to get to the monster action?
Which one? Like the
Just
first one?
Any of them.
And first one probably took 20 minutes, maybe.
There's 20 minutes of
so
movie
it starts
before you see
with boring,
a monster?
dumb human stuff.
I'll get to that. I just want to start off with this. It is a lot of fun to watch if you're wanting to watch the Titans, the monsters, whatever they're calling each other. If you want to watch them fight and fight a lot and have these amazing larger than life action sequences of these monsters, you're definitely are going to get that. Like the movie does like really pay off with that as compared to 2014's Godzilla, which is a tie-in between the two. This one definitely like gives you that action that I think Godzilla fans or fans of monster movies are really wanting. And
yeah, it doesn't take much.
Yeah, exactly. Just have lots of fights with them fighting each other. These large, beautiful shot sequences. Some of them are not shot quite that well, but there's just so much going on that it's kind of hard to do so. But some of the shots of like the monsters as just larger than life makes you feel like you're just so small in the theater.
Oh, yeah. That's what
and I thought that was very well done, and just seeing them fight was also really well done. But the pacing of the movie just bogs down and halts the pacing so much.
Because of those pesky humans.
Those pesky human characters. There's way too many of them. They're saying way too many things that kind of overcomplicate the story at times, I feel like. It's not that the characters were uninteresting. I mean, they were uninteresting, but I didn't mind that they were uninteresting because that's not what I'm in the movie for.
Yeah.
But just the actions and the decisions that they're going through to keep the story moving along doesn't really make the story move faster. It actually feels like it slows it down a lot. So when you're having these awesome action fights between these monsters that are just in your face and it's fast and it's going at you, but then all of a sudden it just halts completely, so that way the humans are like, well, we got to figure out what the military should do next. I know, let's go here and do the thing. All right, then we'll go do the thing. But they never. It's like, all right, now let's get going. So I know that a lot of people are like, their biggest criticism is that the human characters are uninteresting. That's not the big problem.
Yeah,
the big problem.
Watch any Godzilla movie ever.
Yeah, it's a given. The problem is that the human characters are taking forever to do something to keep the story moving, so we can see more of these fights. That's where the big issue lies. So if you're just not going to care about these characters at all, that's perfect, because they're really going to deliver on big budget kaijus fighting one another.
Yay!
And that's really what matters most, I feel like.
I can't wait till we can talk next week to find out who wins at the end.
Well, probably Godzilla.
Probably Godzilla.
Since Godzilla versus Kong.
I don't know. They try to trick you. They try to trick you a number of times, but I never fell for it. I never fell for it in this movie. You don't just call the movie Godzilla and expect me to think he falls.
Yeah, he's literally called King of the Monsters. Yeah. Nothing can bring down that absolute unit.
Yeah, I mean those moments were funny too. Yeah, and then in these movies they always try to make it you feel like Godzilla is the good guy. He's really one of us. He's our pal. But then you just see him destroy like 8 cities in one go, and you're like,
40,000 people dead in a single swipe.
Yeah, like you follow this. The humans are all part of this group that like supposed to preserve these Titans and keep them in check or whatever. And they're like, no, military, we can't have you kill them. And I'm like, why not? Like they're
destroying the planet. Get rid of them.
Like half the planet is just getting demolished because of these things, which is amazing to watch. That's what we're in here for. But it's just like, all right, I guess you can't make any other kind of plot to this, so we might as well do it this way. But yeah, just those character moments just take too long, just so that way we can get to another action sequence. And I would have minded having it slowed down, but I was in it for the monsters, and they were awesome to watch.
Are most
the visuals looked amazing on them too, to a point where I almost felt like I could reach out and touch them at one point.
Are there monster fight scenes that are not in the dark?
No.
Why did they do that?
I don't know. Some of them look cool, kind of, because rain always looks cool.
Yeah.
But
is it because of shading? Like, is it easier to make special effects
probably,
at night?
Or at least you can pass them off easier? But
I don't know.
That just bothers me.
I was wondering that too, because like there are plenty of the fights where it does look awesome to watch, just to see them like hitting each other, or just flying around or whatever. But then there's a lot of them where it's either like the camera movement makes it hard to tell what's going on, or it's just
well, there's a cool balance.
The lighting of it is so dark, and then mixed in with like weather that was happening, or CGI weather that was happening, to where it was also making it hard to make out some things. And yeah, I don't know why they always choose the dark lighting.
Dark can
angles.
be cool if you're like trying to like mask the true scale of it, because sometimes less is more. If you can only see like,
but that's not
an
what they're.
arm
that's definitely
or
not what they were
then
going
it's like,
for.
oh my god, that thing is huge. What does the full thing look like? But that's something I noticed. Like, I never saw the second Pacific Rim, but even the first Pacific Rim, like everything has to be so dark, and
the second Pacific Rim was
there's just
much brighter
so
than
much
the first
more
one.
potential. I feel like to have the dark but also light, because you can just have so many more colors.
Well, how many battles do you know that took place at night, like historically? Do people really just? I mean, maybe humans just like to fight during the day, and monsters only like to fight at night.
You have to go to bed at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta sleep.
I don't know. I was starting to get that feeling because the trailers were all great.
Oh, the trailers.
When I was thinking about it,
movie.
I was like, I hope not every battle is like in the dark. I want to see a big, colorful, like oil painting.
No, it's an oil painting, but it'll be dark.
Would you say the trailers are better than the movie?
Yeah.
Rocketman's were.
I feel bad. I feel kind of bad for saying that, because it is the action fights are good, but I think the marketing here really did a good job at making those be like, oh my gosh, I have to go see this.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's the point, of course, but
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
yeah, so if you want kaijus fighting one another, or titans, I don't know what they're called, but if you want to see these things fight one another, you're gonna get it.
Yay.
And that's all that's gonna matter for the majority
Was his
of
cool like
viewers.
fire breath like that comes
the
up
atomic,
his spine?
Yeah, the atomic
Oh, it's
blast.
still cool.
Is
It's
it?
still cool to watch.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and the new ones that come along they look awesome too. Yeah, I mean, the visuals and the action sequences are what you're in for.
Yeah. That's really what
get
you're
through the humans.
get through the humans.
If you can.
Well, we won't take up a lot more time, but there were a few trailers that dropped this week that we just wanted to mention.
Probably the most notable one is the new Pixar movie trailer.
Yeah, Onward. It
dropped
was
during the
very much a
finals
teaser.
yesterday.
And Onward looks like it's a brother adventure movie that takes place in this kind of alternate magical reality where
It's like if you take a fantasy world, your
trolls and
traditional
mermaids and
ogres,
unicorns,
trolls, everything,
medieval
dragons,
fantasy,
and then it just kind of turns suburban.
right?
So everyone has their house, their paper route,
And
their
the
car, their commute to
unicorns
work.
become raccoons,
yeah.
trash pandas.
It's kind of like what Netflix's Bright was trying to be if it was also aiming to be a children's movie.
Actually, kind of a good comparison.
Like that, now that I think about it, that's really is.
I mean, there's no humans in this one. Get rid of the humans and make Bright animated.
And that's
kind of
and not with cops.
Probably way better.
The older brother drives like a van with like a unicorn on the side,
voiced
like
by Chris Pratt.
It looks like a Rockers van.
Yeah, so this is a teaser trailer, so
totally.
It's very much establishing the world of this movie. So the bulk of the trailer, it's kind of everything we've been describing. It's showing. Right. The joke is like, oh, it's a ghoul mowing his lawn. It's a
lawn
troll
gnome
paying a toll
lawn.
on a bridge.
Yeah.
And, it's funny, it's cool, but then at the end, Tom Holland and Chris Pratt are two brothers. What are they supposed to be?
I think they're elves.
Elves? Dark elves?
Magic elves. Kind of like if the alien, or not aliens, but if the creatures in Avatar were in a Pixar movie, they would be those guys.
Yeah,
kind of.
I just like making these references.
Yeah, at the end it shows Chris Pratt's obviously the older brother. He probably doesn't live at home.
I love Chris Pratt's voice in this trailer, by the way.
Yeah, he pulls up in his van. He looks like a classic like heavy metal dude.
Yeah.
And apparently they have an errand to go on, but Chris Pratt is way excited, and he says it's going to be a quest.
He's like,
Jinx are going to be ensued.
He goes, "Come, brother, we must go on a quest." Like it's a very like medieval speak.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like him. When Chris Pratt was mimicking Thor in Infinity War.
He's building a narrative around their impending journey.
Yeah,
I liked it. It was a very simple teaser. The interesting thing is that this is the first of. Apparently, are many original stories. Pixar's kind of going back to that.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Toy Story 4.
Awesome.
I mean, who knows? Because Bob Iger also said they were taking a big hiatus from Star Wars. But he said that...
You're never trusting Bob Iger again.
He said that after Toy Story 4, they don't have any sequels or prequels or spin-offs planned for a while. So I like that. I love original Pixar stories.
Yeah, it looked good. It was a nice tease for something new and different from them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have other Disney animated films coming up this year. We've got Frozen 2, which will be huge at the end of the year. So it's just kind of a nice thing to look forward to. That's something, not a sequel, like you said.
Yeah.
Something
it's also
original.
coming out in March, like for 2020 slate. That's pretty soon.
It's gonna be awesome to have a early spring kids movie.
Yeah.
And then we watched the Rambo trailer.
Rambo Last Blood.
Is it last? It's Rambo Last Blood. Kay.
Rambo : Last Blood.
I think said Wambo for some
Wambo.
reason.
Wambo. Totally got like this Desperado, like Western feel. Like if Rambo goes Western, because he's like shooting a bow and he's got his knife.
I've never seen any.
He's
Rambo
riding a
movies,
horse.
But what I gathered is he's like semi-retired, or he told himself he was retiring. But you know how that goes. With aging action stars, he always
comes back.
According to the trailer,
right back in.
They pulled First Blood. He'll pull the Last Blood.
That
sums up the movie. They attacked him. He's going to retaliate. It might be the fight to end all fights.
Stallone just is so greasy and oily and veiny and scary looking.
And your point?
Yeah. I feel like that makes Rambo even better.
Yeah, I know, but now he's like pretty old, and so it doesn't look that natural. Like there's that shot where he's holding the knife and he's just like
he's been shot in the back and it's bleeding.
He literally he's snapped and now he's just a pure primal
the guy underneath him. Oh god,
bloodlust.
That is Rambo. He just snapped.
That's Wambo.
It's pure primal bloodlust.
I don't know. John Rambo apparently.
Well, I
has that trapped inside of him.
I like the tagline after 4 decades he drew First Blood and now he's drawing Last Blood or whatever it is. But I like the parallels between that and the first one, which I believe is the most critically acclaimed one. I think
I don't even know if it was acclaimed, but I know it's like a cult classic.
At least it's like an action classic. Like it actually tells like a really human story about a veteran and and I kind of like that aspect of it. So I'm hoping like kind of goes back to that realm, so that way it kind of maybe ties it up all together in a nice bow somehow.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a very specific group of people who this movie is aimed at. I haven't seen any of them, but I hope they like it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my husband, I think.
Yeah, probably.
This would be his cup of tea.
Group.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to send him to watch it.
Report back.
Yeah, report back, Ken. Tell me what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then we thought the Old Town Road was...
Is that a thing?
I don't think it was.
Yeah, is that a thing? Is that like a big song right now?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a meme song, but it is like airing on radios and
it totally worked for that trailer though. I liked it
because I've seen
it. It did weirdly work. Like I thought it was funny just because I'm like, really, this song? Okay, but then it's like, oh my god, this actually
everybody
works.
was like familiar with it before the trailer came out, and they're like, oh my god, Old Town Road in this trailer now, and I'm sitting there like, well, where would I have heard this before?
Radio is dead.
Online?
I don't know.
Well,
yeah, I don't understand.
I don't know why I said radio, but it's all over the place.
Yeah, that's what I
it's
keep
all
hearing,
over the
but I have not come across
and the
it until this.
I thought it worked. So
it does work. It's funny, but it does work weirdly well.
Blood movie.
Yeah,
bloodlust movie.
He is an old man, and he does have bloodlust.
Yep. Then the last one we want to talk about is the Kitchen trailer.
Yeah, the Kitchen I've known has been on. Yeah. This has been on Warner Bros.'s release schedule for a long time now.
They've been moving it around.
Finally, we're seeing what it looks like, and it was not what I was expecting.
It's 3 ladies whose husbands were in the mob, and they go away, and the ladies are like
to prison.
The ladies are like, "What are we gonna do? We have like no money," and so they try to take over their husbands' positions in the mob, and obviously the other mob guys don't like that. So I'm sure they start their own.
With the cast as Melissa McCarthy, Tiffany Haddish, and Elizabeth Moss. I kind of was expecting it to be a little bit more funny than the trailer was.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 of them are comedic actresses. Yeah,
but the trailer was actually pretty serious. I thought it was a great trailer, actually.
Very dramatic, and it was good.
I liked most of what I saw. It still looked like there's probably going to be a little humor in there. Like
I'm sure there's going to be dry one-liners.
Yeah. I mean, it gave me very strong Widows vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it reminded me a lot
more focused
of that.
Widows. Yeah.
You don't think Widows is focused? I loved Widows.
I mean, I'm saying focused loosely, but yeah, there's at least like a smaller cast of people. That's
fair. I thought that these 3 ladies seemed more accessible though, like more, I don't know, relatable in this one than I got with Widows.
Well, with McCarthy's and Haddish's success in movies and Moss
maybe
doing a great job in Handmaid's Tale, yeah, it definitely has those appeals to it. No, the trailer looked pretty solid. I'm really looking forward to this one now.
Yeah, when does it come out?
August, I believe.
That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Good August movie.
September.
Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot
August
to say
9th.
about that one, but other than Melissa McCarthy seems to be enjoying the not being typecast to her kind of.
I actually enjoy watching her more in a dramatic role.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Can You Ever Forgive Me, but I want to. But I like where I'm buying it.
Yeah.
She obviously is a phenomenal.
Well, I feel like she's like a lot of other comedians, like Jim Carrey, who had a really successful dramatic career. Even Robin Williams did.
Yeah,
Steve Carell.
Well, because comedy is
him next. Yeah,
I feel like it's not that unpopular to say comedy is probably one of, if not the hardest things to do right.
Yeah.
So if you're good at comedy, you kind of understand the mechanisms behind.
Or it's just the idea that if you understand laughter and light, you're gonna understand the darkness that associates with that. It's just 2 sides of one coin. Yeah.
So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, this one's gonna be a good August release, I think.
Yeah. So guys, this weekend, what do you think will do better? Godzilla, Ma, or Rocketman?
I mean, I'm still gonna see Ma.
Why are you chuckling like that? What are you trying to say?
I'm seeing Ma. I'm so excited.
Do you think it's gonna? I think Godzilla is going to beat Rocketman this weekend.
Yeah, I think so. I think
sure.
Godzilla's going to take it.
Yeah.
Rating.
Its trailers were very successful.
Yep.
You know, people like big monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they'll all do fine.
Right.
They'll all do in the ballpark of what is being projected.
Yeah, yes. Ma is, your classic Blumhouse micro-budget movie.
Right. It can't really fail.
Exactly.
So they do it. They make that with a smart budget so that if it finds success, finds lots of success, and if it doesn't, it's okay.
Yeah, and I think Rocketman will be. I think it can find success too. I think the studio will be able to make its money back. I just don't think it's gonna be the widest impact as the Bohemian Rhapsody did.
It's not gonna get anywhere near Bohemian, but I think that has a lot to do with the choice to make it R. Not so much the choice to make it more of a musical fantasy, just R, and putting those hardcore things in there that
and it's already been done.
Drug use.
Bohemian Rhapsody came out, and this, in kind of genre speaking, this is kind of like a follow-up, another studio's answer to it, and you just can't,
which is unfortunate because
you can't repeat that massive success only a handful of months after it happened.
Yeah.
No.
It's not that simple.
Yeah.
But I'm still super excited to see it.
Yeah.
Rocketman and Ma. I think it's going to be a double feature.
Godzilla will for sure be at number 1.
Right.
I think he'll be able to bump off Aladdin.
Well, we had some more trailers, but we don't have enough time to discuss them, so we'll leave them for next week. But there are some new trailers on the site.
Mm-hmm.
The Terminator trailer.
Terminator Dark Fate.
Yeah.
There's a second Annabelle Comes Home trailer.
The second Annabelle.
47 Meters Down Uncaged.
Apparently that first one was kind of like a pretty low-key, popular, kind of almost cult movie.
I guess. I don't remember that happening, but...
Ken liked it. There's a film for my husband again. Then,
I love this tagline.
Goldfinch. Go on. You should go.
Goldfinch is a great trailer.
We'll talk about this next week, but everybody should go to SSI and go on the homepage and watch the Goldfinch trailer because I saw it at CinemaCon. It made me cry.
Yeah, it's a powerful trailer.
It is very powerful.
I almost shed a single manly tear.
Talk about
good for you, man.
Losing mamas and broken-hearted boys. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you can't escape bad mommies.
I can't.
Well, not that she was a bad mom. You can't escape sad mother-son relationships.
Yeah, it's like everywhere for me. It's tough.
It's telling.
I'm gonna go home and hug my babies again.
Okay.
All right. Well, have a good weekend, guys. We'll be back next week. What are we seeing this weekend? I already saw Rocketman.
Rocketman and Ma.
I'll be seeing Rocketman.
And you'll see. Okay.
Ma
good.
all day.
I'm going to if I have time, I'm going to try to hit up Booksmart. I want to see that
it's
so
great.
bad.
It's great.
Yeah, and everyone, if you get the chance, go see Booksmart too.
It needs your help.
It does. It needs your help. It's a really fantastic film that the studio just screwed up by putting in summer.
Ooh.
Screwed up. We all knew that was a bad decision from the beginning.
Yeah, I could call that immediately.
Should have been a September film or October.
September platform limited release. Build up that critical buzz.
To the Academy Awards.
I think that's what happened with 8th grade.
Yeah. That is
that's
what happened
exactly
with 8th grade.
What happened with 8th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're superior films. Okay.
Learn for the next time.
We'll be back next week.
Take
care.
Bye.